And Your Honor, I'm prepared to cheat sheet for the court with me.
Step forward, place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. Solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, ma'am. May I please the court?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, before you is Woodrow Stephen Hammond on indictment number 2020 GS 45220. He's pleading guilty today to the lesser included offense of assault and battery in the third degree. It's represented by Chris Duran of Williamsburg County Bar. The state's recommendation in this case is a time served sentence.
Is that right, Mr. Chairman?
Clarendon County Bar does, did you know that?
All right, so Williamsburg?
No, so, Clarendon County, I'm from the Gable area.
That's right. It's a sergeant.
Yes, sir, I do represent Mr. Hammond, Your Honor, and he is pleading guilty to assault and battery third degree for time served with recommendation.
Well, Mr. Hammond, how do you plead, sir?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied with your lawyer?
Yes, sir. That's it.
Any complaints?
No, sir.
Has anybody promised you anything to plead guilty?
No, sir.
Anybody making you do this?
No, sir.
Are you using medication, drugs, or alcohol?
No.
Okay. But you're doing okay today?
Yes, sir.
All right. You got 10 days to appeal the sentence and the plea. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
When you plead guilty, you give up the right to a trial by a jury and the right to remain silent. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I'll have to follow a recommendation and to give you what?
Your Honor, 30 days.
30 days. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Anderson.
Your Honor, this happened on July the 5th of 2020. Deputy Kamaya Miller responded to a domestic dispute at 180 Diamond Loop in Williamsburg County. When she arrived, she met with both Woodrow Hammond and the people living in the home, one of them being Ms. Louise Hammond, the victim in this case. The argument started actually about the coronavirus and handling food. He and his wife, who he lives with, got in an argument about that. Started verbal, became a physical back and forth. He did strike her in the mouth with closed fist. She did call law enforcement. He didn't give law enforcement any trouble and went with him at the scene. This is the victim bill of rights, Your Honor. I've spoken to Louise Hammond this morning. Ms. Alston has also spoken to her several times. She's on board with today's plea. She's actually in the parking lot waiting to take him home.
Mr. Hammond, do you still plead guilty?
Yes, sir.
Any concerns, Mr. Durant?
No, sir, Judge. Mr. Hammond's 63 years old. He and his wife have been married for 43 years. No other incidents of violence between the two of them. This is truly an aberration. I think he has a prior record of driving under suspension. That's it. They're still together. He said that he's still putting up with her and she's still putting up with him. Yes, Your Honor, to accept the recommendation since the time served. Judge, if there is a court cost involved, we ask that you give him 30 days to pay the court costs. Thank you.
Blame it on the virus, Mr. Hammond.
Yes, sir.
Blame it on the virus. Have a good day, sir.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
you.
All right, man.
Y'all have a good day, too.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Good thing.
Your Honor, thank the court's indulgence. Mr. Murray has 7 files. May it please the court?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, before you is Marquise Devon Murray on the following indictment numbers: 2020 GS 4562, 2020 GS 4563, 2020 GS 45217, 2020 GS 4561, and 2020 GS 4564. Your Honor, all of those are counts of grand larceny between $2,000 and $10,000. He is represented in all those cases have been true billed by the grand jury. He is represented by Charles David Barr of the Williamsburg County Bar. The state's recommendation is a probationary sentence with the condition that he complete the drug court program. The defense has requested a restitution hearing, and the state has agreed to have that within 90 days.
Is that right, Mr. Barr?
That's right, Judge.
Mr. Murray, sir. How do you do?
You doing all right?
You need to pull that mask down so I can hear you, sir. Murray, on these charges announced to the court. How do you plead, sir? And are you satisfied with your lawyer, Mr. Barr? Sir?
Yes, sir.
You speak so softly, you got to speak up.
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. Now, has Mr. Barr done all you have asked him to do?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any complaints about Mr. Barr?
No, sir.
Has he answered your questions to your satisfaction?
Yes, sir.
Have you told him everything you know about these charges?
Yes, sir.
And to your knowledge, has he shared with you all the information, evidence, and discovery he has about this case?
Yes, sir.
Have you been promised anything by anyone to plead guilty today?
No, sir.
Is anybody making you do this?
No, sir.
Are you using medication, drugs, or alcohol today?
No, sir.
Do you have an illness or injury that makes it hard to understand what you're doing today?
No, sir.
Mr. Barr's a good lawyer. I know he's told you about jury trials and remain silent. You give up the right to a jury trial on every charge here when you plead guilty. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
You also give up the right to remain silent on every charge. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
You have 5 days to appeal your sentences and your pleas. Do you understand that? 10 days, I meant. I said something else. I meant 10. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, each one of these was like 5 years, 5 years, 5 years, 5 years. On a bad, bad day, this court can sentence you to 25 years in prison today. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I don't have to follow recommendations. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Anderson,
Yes, Your Honor. Now, I'm going to go by indictment number in an attempt to stay organized since there are several of these charges. I'm going to start with 2020 GS 4562. Your Honor, on January the 30th of 2020, Central Dispatch was alerted to Big Springs Road, 116 Big Springs Road in the Greeleyville area of Williamsburg County in reference to a break-in. Sergeant Boston was sent out there. He spoke with Tammy Irwin, who was the victim in this particular case. He said some property was stolen from the hunt club they had out there, specifically a 2000 Honda 300 four-wheeler. It was usually parked right abutted up to the back of the residence. She also noticed the four-wheeler keys were missing. She had asked several people around and no one knew who had taken it. The officer took pictures of the scene and would check and see if there was any cameras in the area to look at. And as in all of these cases, Your Honor, eventually Marquise Murray becomes a suspect, is interviewed at the Williamsburg County Sheriff's Office under Miranda, and gives a full confession of all of these crimes. It also helps law enforcement recover the vast majority of this property. But those are the basic facts of this case. Mr. Murray confessed to stealing the four-wheeler. Then the next case, Your Honor, is indictment number 2020 GS 4563. The victim in this case is Zachary Taylor. Your Honor, on October the 20th of 2019, deputies spoke to Zachary Taylor, said he wanted to speak to a deputy about missing ATV four-wheeler. It was a Honda Rancher ATV 4S. He'd come to his hunt club, discovered again his four-wheeler was missing. He was able to provide them with a photograph of the ATV and the VIN number to help the law enforcement in their investigation. And then again, through the course of their investigation, they developed Mr. Murray as a suspect. He was interviewed at the Williamsburg County Sheriff's Office, and he did confess to stealing this as well. And Your Honor, as I go, I've made several attempts to reach out to all the victims. I tried to call Ms. Irwin 3 separate occasions. I never had a meaningful contact with her. I suspect it's because her property was returned. Same deal with Zachary Taylor. I called him on 3 different dates, never had a conversation with him. But he did fill out a victim impact statement requesting the amount of the four-wheeler, and that's going to be part of the restitution hearing that we have in 90 days. The next case, Your Honor, is State v. Marquise Murray. It's indictment number 2022 GS 45217. He's again pleading guilty to 1 count of grand larceny. Facts on this one are on February the 13th of 2020, Ms. Nancy Clark called the break-in at a hunt club. She said that someone had been inside the hunt club and stole 2 scoped rifles, and also television was missing from the property. The law enforcement again developed Marquise Murray as a suspect in these cases, came to the Sheriff's Office voluntarily and gave a statement confessing to these crimes and specifically taking these firearms. This charge is being reduced from burglary first to grand larceny. I've spoken to
Miss Nancy Clark several times. She understands and is on board with today's plea, and she'll be notified of the restitution hearing. Your Honor, up next is 2020 GS 4561. This happened on the 28th of January of 2020. Eric Wetzel responded to 316 Burgess Road in Greeleyville. Okay, and again, the facts are very similar. A ATV was stolen, a yellow ATV was stolen from a hunting property out there in the woods. Mr. Mark Murray was developed as a suspect by the Williamsburg County Sheriff's Office, voluntarily gave a statement about where the four-wheeler was, and confessed to the crime. This four-wheeler was recovered and given back to the victim. I've made several attempts since this case has come in to contact this victim, and they have not responded to any of them. Lastly, Your Honor, is Marquise Murray, of course, on indictment number 2020 TS 4564. This has been occurred on January the 10th of 2020 at 2401 Rivers Road in Greeleyville, in reference to a break-in at a hunting property. And this one, a Kubota, a utility vehicle, and two lawnmowers were taken. The officer came and there was a broken window, took some photographs, and again, Mr. Murray was developed as a suspect by the Williamsburg County Sheriff's Office, gave a full confession to this case, and this property was returned to the victims. Your Honor, just to say, I'm speaking a lot, but the reason all this property was recovered is Mr. Murray cooperated along, and I wanted to convey that to the court today.
Now, I'm reading and writing at the same time. Is restitution an element on every one of these?
No, Your Honor, it's specifically just the case involving Zachary Taylor, and I'll get that indictment number for the court. That is indictment number 64, and it's the case that involves Miss Nancy Clark, which is indictment number 217. And the amount would be $10,950, but we're going to have a restitution hearing about that.
All right, so, hold on now. On 64, indictment 64,
Yes, Your Honor.
restitution is an element there, is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Does that require a hearing, a restitution hearing or not?
Yes, Mr. Barr specifically requested one, and we do not object.
And how soon do y'all want that hearing?
You can say within 90 days, but I plan on doing it next month.
Barr, all right?
Yes, sir.
There's no hearing then, what?
If there's not a hearing conducted, then there's no restitution. The victims will be there.
Okay. All right. On that one, I'm going to put a hearing within 90 days for restitution to be determined. Now, all right?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Now, the next one, restitution now is
It's on indictment number 2, ending in 217, victims Nancy Clark, and same deal. There's restitution. We'll have a restitution within 90 days. We plan on doing it next month.
and those three not.
The other three of the property was all recovered and returned to the victims.
Now, I saw on the recommendation drug court.
That's right, Your Honor. A probationary sentence in your discretion.
Now, Mr. Murray, did you hear what he said happened in all five of these charges?
Yes, sir.
To include the part about you helping out, getting the property back and so forth.
Yes, sir.
So you still wish to plead guilty all 5 times?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Murray, are you guilty?
Yes, sir. I do.
Mr. Boyd, any concerns with this plea?
No, sir.
Well represented by good counsel, his office pleads freely, knowingly, and voluntarily with advice and consent of good counsel, and I will accept them as being factually based. And Mr. Barr's recommendation is probation with restitution and drug court.
Mr. Anderson,
Sir,
Mr. Anderson's recommendation.
is that right, Mr. Anderson?
That's right, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Ward, what's yours?
Judge, I've been impressed with Marquise. Of course, when you read the warrants and the indictments and hear what the offenses as they are described in terms of what he's done, it seems like a whole lot of stuff. Marquise is a hard-working young man. He got himself mixed up in using drugs along with several other people. Judge, he has always confessed and admitted what he did, and he manned up, and he's here today to give his medicine. Now, there's one thing about this case that concerns me, and of course, that's the fact that Marquise didn't do this by himself. He doesn't even have a bicycle to ride. And these things were transported by automobile, most of them. And for the life of me, it's not like the sheriff's office doesn't know, or at least the information hadn't been given to them, who actually assisted with stealing these things. But to my knowledge, I don't think they put their hands on it. But now, that's not a defense. But I just want to make sure that you understand that from where we at, this boy didn't do all of this stuff by himself. He had ample help, and I've yet to see any of the other people pass through this court. I don't think it will be that may. We would ask that the court take into consideration that he's 21 years old. Judge, he now lives in, he actually lives in Sumter now. He is working. The gentleman that he's employed by, he lives with that person because he's a good worker. And he's taken upon himself to help Marquise move himself from the influences that he was involved in over here, using drugs and stealing people's property. And we would ask the court to accept the recommendation that's been made by him.
How much time will be served, and what has been served if that becomes a fact?
Your Honor, on the indictment number ending 64, he served 2 days. On the indictment number ending 61, he did 2 days. On the indictment number ending in 217, he did 2 days. On the indictment number ending in 63, he did 2 days. And lastly, on indictment number 62, he also did 2 days. It's 2 days on all of them.
Well, what's your thoughts on this drug court request?
Judge, we don't have a problem with it. Quite frankly, I think it would be good for Marquise. He has made a commitment, but sometimes you need some help along the way, especially when it comes to drugs. And I think it would go a long way to help him to make sure that he doesn't return to his old ways.
Now, on this new and improved sentencing sheet that came up, where it says, do I write out, I have to ask this in every county because it's different, do I put on here? And on the other block, drug court required, or does that fall under substance abuse county?
And I asked the clerk, but it's my understanding it's not in the box because it's a condition of probation here. Is that right, Madam Clerk?
And I would still check the one that has the substance abuse counsel.
Do I put that and drug court? And that will double it up for him, I want to double it up for him.
Is probation here?
Yes. Judge McFadden,
Yes.
normally is the substance abuse is for probation.
Okay.
Drug court is automatic. They go through the substance abuse program.
So, do I check substance abuse county and add drug court?
If you want him to have substance abuse, and the thing with that is, we pretty much use the same resources with drug court and with probation. So if you check the substance abuse, we're going to send him back to the same place that drug court is going to send him.
So I don't need to write specifically drug court?
Yes, sir.
I don't. I do.
You do. Are you ordering drug court for him or probation?
Yes, ma'am, he's going to get probation here.
along with drug court as well.
So this is what I'm trying to find out. If probation includes, if I check off substance abuse counseling, is that gonna be the same thing as drug court?
It's either or, because
No,
It's not the same thing.
it's not.
Somebody help me.
It's not.
And this is Sierra Boyd, Your Honor, she is our drug court assistant.
Okay. So then, do we wanna have, I wanna load them down with substance abuse counseling and drug court.
That would be too much weight for us.
I don't think the substance abuse counseling needs to be checked, because that's gonna be part of drug court.
Yes, substance abuse is a part of
Okay.
drug court.
right.
All right. Okay, I just wanna be, as Ruben Brady said, I'm gonna break it back with all these requirements we've got to make. Thank y'all for your advice, too. Sentence of the court on each charge is 3 years Department of Corrections, suspended to 3 years of probation and he must complete drug court. If, where restitution becomes an element, if he pays that restitution, once determined, and has completed drug court, he may move to have probation terminated. Mr. Anderson, Mr. Ball, make sure these sentence sheets are correct after the close. Okay, I do make mistakes.
We'll review.
Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you, Judge.
Christian News TY, I'm Tony Conyers. Is there any newsworthy events in Williamsburg County? We will get them to you as soon as possible. If not, you can follow us on Christian News TY Facebook, you can follow us on YouTube, and you can follow us on our website.